What's up, everybody? Hey, Eric. Good morning. Gary Walters, welcome home. Thanks, buddy. Missed you guys. Rumble Seat. What's up, Wiz? Paul Komrowski, Stephen Eddy, Drop Shot. Doesn't look like Florida. No, it does not look like Florida. Tell you, I had a very enjoyable time down there. The Keys were really, in a lot of ways, everything I thought they were going to be, and you don't normally say that about a place that you've thought about going your whole life. Um, and it is one of those places. Gutchess Pond, right? Thanks, Paul. It's good to be home. We flew into Syracuse last night about midnight. I didn't want to come home. I'll be honest with you. I didn't. There's so much fishing down there. That water in the Keys, that salt water is so alive. There's so many things you can do. So many different species of fish. I mean, I spent 2 days with my buddy Danny, and him and I, made our careers on the Salmon River and Lake Ontario for a long time, and said something waffling right there. I had 3 walleyes this morning, not a one of which I could get a picture of. 2 I didn't even get up into the jet ski. I tried boat flipping them into the live well down there, and it didn't work so well. So yeah, it's just so full of life down there that I can tell you from a fisherman's perspective, all I could think of was, what could you go do next? Now, I spent 2 days with my buddy Danny fishing just for tarpon. That's all we did. We fished about 4 hours per day, 3.5, 4 hours. And all we did was we float fished for him. So you anchor on the upstream side of the bridge, depending on which way the current's moving. Now, the 2 days I was there, the tide was coming in from the ocean. And then all you're doing is drifting bait underneath a slip float. So the howl part wasn't terribly difficult. And in both mornings, we had fish below us rolling. I mean, crazy. 50 of them. You see these monster tarpon just rolling around like this. And Danny said, the ones that you see, he goes, don't bite. It's the ones underneath them. So if you saw 50, how many were below them, It was. And even with that tarpon fishing, the whole time I'm sitting there, I'm thinking in my head, geez, is there another way you could do this besides just drifting bait at them? Could you throw a big swim bait at them on a heavy head and bring it up through them? Could you jig something down through there? Could you throw a bucktail? There was too much current to fish a blade, even if you had a bigger blade, and I don't know that a 7-foot long tarpon's going to eat a 2.5-inch long blade. Maybe, I mean, the crabs we were fishing weren't enormous. They were that big around, like a big silver dollar pancake. But in the grand scheme of things, for the size of the fish that we were chasing, the bait was really pretty small. Um, it just was incredible though. Now, there are some things where you have to, anybody that's ever been to the Caribbean knows that everything in the Caribbean is pretty beat up looking. It's usually built out of concrete, homes, buildings. Everything's pretty much concrete. The sun just beats the snot out of everything. It just sucks it gives us life, but it sucks the life right out of you if you're exposed to it on a daily basis. That sun is brutal. Um, but everything down there looked old, honestly. Um, and on the main road, the cool part is there's only one road. There's only one road. I thought that was pretty neat. Everything's on the main road, really. I mean, there's a couple side turns, but um, except when you got down to Key West. Key West is a big island, and there was a lot of people there. A lot of people lived there. A lot of houses. The middle of the island looked a lot like any other southern town. Like if you've ever been to like Charleston or one of those coastal towns on the southeast coast, which was cool. Kind of felt like New Orleans, even though I've never been to New Orleans. I've only seen pictures of it. That's 2 casts in a row that I can't seem to keep things straight. Let's see who else is here. Scott Duranda, what's up? John Wilzik, Tammy Hoover. Scott the Gotta, where's your tan? Yeah, it's funny. I am, that's funny. I am not a sunscreen, worry about the sun kind of guy. I just never have been. I love the sun. If the sun's out, guns out kind of thing as a kid even, and now nothing better than mowing the lawn on a hot summer day with just a pair of shorts on and your sunglasses. But I was very careful down there the couple days that I was out on the water especially, and I put sunscreen on, and my shoulders still got a little bit burnt when I was in the pool, but nothing too bad. I didn't want a sunburn to ruin my vacation, and sunburns ruin a lot of vacations. People don't think about it. Randy Gushlaw, welcome back. Thank you, sir. Rich H, yeah, I've got a blade rod with me, and I have a swim bait rod with me. The only thing that's had a touch this morning is the blade. I had one on Homie early, and then I've had 2 on this copper clown that Mike over at I1 Baits gave me not too long ago. I like copper. It's a nice color, especially in the high sun. Clear water. This water is clear. Not as clear as down there though. Man, you could see bottom when we were tarpon fishing in the current right below the bridge. I mean, you could see bottom in 22 foot of water like it was 2 foot. It's crazy. Keith, what's up, buddy? Typically fishing. Good morning, Matt. It's my day off. Thinking of taking the kids out to the lake today. Well, I mean, it's beautiful out here. There's not a ripple anywhere on the water. Not a ripple. It's going to be a nice day. Came home last night to all my plants. All my flowers are dead. That frost was worse, nothing we could do. It was after we left. All my beautiful flowers, all that money, all that time are all dead. Good morning. That must have been a long 4 hours on a boat down there just waiting. Why were you float fishing? Well, Larry, it's not quite like that. I mean, it was an active, you'd cast it out into the current, and it would drift down through as far as you could let it go, as far as you could see it, and then you'd reel it in and do it again. So you were actively fishing the whole time. You know, we were on anchor, so you were in the same spot, and that tide's moving and the current's moving, and all those fish are sitting in the current down below you, down below the bridge typically, and you had to float a bait of some sort out there to them. Something over there on the surface. I saw a couple guard the other day before I left. It looked like they were spawning. I think something's over there doing that right now. So no, we weren't just sitting there on anchor with the rods in the rod holder the whole time. How does a man who fishes every day get a vacation? Every day is a vacation. Yeah. Merlin, I finally caught a muskie Thursday evening. Just short of 11 pounds. Hammered a brand new flicker shed trolling at dusk. Need to change the hooks, but made the rotation. Ah, very nice, man. Congratulations. Congratulations, buddy. Chief Stone, good morning to you too. Steve Nettie, I don't plan anything till after Memorial Day. Yeah, but Steven, correct me if I'm wrong, you're in the Adirondacks. I mean, if I remember correctly, you told me you lived up near Lake George, or up that way somewhere. That's the Adirondacks. I get that. I get that completely up there. I really didn't think we were going to have a frost that hard after the middle of May. I mean, I know in weird years I've seen, I can say the same thing. I've seen snow in May and all that stuff, but I didn't, listen, I didn't think I was going to see frost this late in the season. I thought we were long past that. Don Birdie, welcome home. Thanks, buddy. Yeah, I miss talking with you guys, and this is it. Of course, when I was on the boat there for a couple days, and there's a lot of people that messages and all that. I didn't answer anybody. Don't feel bad. I didn't answer anybody on vacation. I was on vacation. So I have, I'm home now. I have calls to make, and I'll get in touch with everybody and answer everybody. But being on the boat, and of course I really thought, it's funny, both mornings when you're in that moment, and especially when that first day, those first two fish hit pretty quickly. And I'm going to tell you that, Danny and I did it successfully as a two-man team, but as soon as you hook that fish, you got to get off anchor. So he's got a ball. He's got a big poly ball on his anchor line, and comes down through a loop. So all he has to do is untie the rope from the cleat, which takes about 2 seconds. And then you got to get down below the bridge. You got to clear the bridge. And then there's also power lines out there that are on individual pilings, because those tarpon head right for it. They know, I don't know what they know, but they know. So you had to get below that, and there wasn't time. Like I thought about, in hindsight, I thought, there's different ways I could have did it, but I really, and I'll start reviewing the video footage tonight on my GoPro. I didn't have my laptop with me, so I couldn't review footage while I was down there. Hey, and I hope I got some cool things. I don't think I got a terrible lot that I can use. There was so much going on, and then when that fight really got into it, you couldn't leave your attention. I did a couple times, and it almost cost me that fish the second day. I wanted to have everybody see, especially a hookup, but I got some video. Hopefully it's good, and we'll put it out. This was a perfect trip where a third person could have run a camera, or if I had a full-time cameraman. That is one thing for sure that I did learn, and that is in this situation, that would have helped tremendously. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, Eric. Yeah, sure. I know. I was born and raised here. This was a late frost, and it sucks because now I'm pissed. Eric Wisniewski, what's going on, Wiz? Jay Spinola had deadly frost in the southern tier 2, lost some and saved some. Good for you, Jay. Stephen Eddy boat is not fixed, and I don't know what's wrong with it other than it won't start, and I'll deal with that today. I just didn't have time before we left. David Gould, good morning. Eric Wisniewski finally got into the turkey woods hunting. Sciatic nerve been bad, but I'm on the mend. Oh, good for you. E-Tricks, I snapped my ankle last Sunday. Man, I saw that. I hope you feel better. I am on the jet ski drop shot. That's all right. This sun's terrible. Stephen Eddy, I volunteer to be your cameraman next year. Drop shot. As soon as I win the lottery, I'll be your cameraman. Typically fishing. The flies look abundant out there right now. Yeah, it's just those little, whatever they are out here. The lake is so calm that there's just a sheen of them, See if I can get this turned around. It's funny. It's so calm out here right now that when I'm jigging, it turns the jet ski, because there's not a breath of air out here. There was for a few minutes, just a slight ripple, and at least it would keep the jet ski in the right direction, instead of just, because as I cast and I'm jigging it, whatever direction the rod tip is that I'm jigging it, the jet ski goes that way, because it's pulling it. With every jig, I'm pulling the jet ski around. So I've been sitting out here doing circles most of the morning, which, Oh, and yesterday. So I'll tell you one other fishing story from down there. So yesterday, on the way, so we didn't fly out of Miami until late in the afternoon, and so I booked a airboat trip in the Everglades. So the guy comes in, young guy, he's the airboat captain. He comes in, picks us up, and off we go, right out into the swamp. And the other guy at the ramp showed me his phone, and the block that they had permission to run their airboat tours in was about 40 miles by 80 miles. lot of land out there. It was all wet. He said there were some dry spots in it. He said he's seen, obviously, gators, snakes, like the that are all over down there. He said he's seen big cats. What did he say? Cougars, pumas, whatever is down in there in the swamp. He also said he's seen deer, the little mini deer they've got down there, and he's seen black bears out there, which I thought was, I didn't really know that there were black bears in Florida, honestly. So we go out there and we do that, and we don't go very long, and he spots one, and I'm looking for like a gator up on the shore, you know. The only time I've ever seen an alligator was when Courtney and I were in Charleston doing a tour of this old plantation, and there was a little one, a couple 3-4 feet long, sitting on the edge of the bank. That's what I thought I was going to see, you know. And the first one, he's like, oh, he's right there. And Courtney's like, oh my God. And I'm like, I don't see it. I'm looking around. He's like right there. And I finally looked down to the water, and all you could see was like this, you know, like his snout. You were only seeing like the top of his hat, his eyes. And so this dude had already turned off the airboat, turns it back on, spins it around. We're only 2-3 feet from this thing, and it's just sitting there like it doesn't. And I'm like, okay, well. And we looked at it. He goes, oh, that's a nice one. That's about average. He goes 6-7 feet long. So we keep going, and now I looked at Courtney. I go, well, now I know what I'm looking for. We don't go another, 50 feet. I go, oh, there's one. He's like, oh yeah, good eyes. He goes. The guy looks at me. He turns off the boat, and we're looking at this alligator. And he goes, are you an outdoorsman? I go, yeah. He goes, are you a fisherman? I go, yeah, definitely. And he goes, you're gonna see alligators today, and you're gonna catch your first Everglades largemouth bass. Like, oh, right on, free fishing trip. So we stop in the middle, and there's channels and in ditches cut through, and it's all inside a system of a levee, and then the outside on the levee they control the water levels inside the levee. It's pretty cool. So there's these channels cut out in the back of nowhere, and through these huge miles and miles of sawgrass and stuff. So we stop at this little intersection. There's not a lot of open water, but there's some lily pads on the sides. He goes, just cast this into the lily pads. And I don't know what it was. It was a 5-inch zoom. I know what it was. It was a 5-inch zoom trick worm. It had the little cut tail on the end of it, so it just kind of flaps as it goes along. No weight on it. I don't know. He hands me some rod, and second cast, just crushes it, and it's not big. It's a 12, 13-inch little largemouth, and it's probably full of them out there. And it was a blast. And I caught one more. I caught 2 total. So I've caught Florida largemouth in the Everglades. That's pretty cool. And my first tarpon in the same trip. So that's all pretty cool. Bugs. Rumble seat. Next time you need a cameraman, let me know. You can take my wife with you. Well, I have a wife, Bob. I don't need yours. Yeah, Keith Horns. Planning chart for last average frost for me is March 1st to March 15th. Your zone is March 15th to March 30th. Yeah. Yeah, I'm pissed. Did you get to Key West to enjoy the nightlife? We went to Key West. We did not enjoy the nightlife on this trip. We went down for the day. Key West was great. We went to the aquarium. We went to a botanical gardens, a butterfly garden that was unbelievable, honestly. We went down to southernmost point. See, I just keep spinning around in circles. Like you guys were looking at me 1 second ago, and now you're not. Yeah, the butterfly garden was incredible. We went down to that southernmost point and took a picture there. I stood in line for 20 minutes to take that picture, but I really wanted it, so we did it. I've seen people take those pictures for years, although it was not where I thought it was going to be. Like it's in the corner of a neighborhood on the side of a street. Never really understood that, I guess, but yeah, Key West was pretty cool. We didn't stay in Key West long, though. I mean, we drove down, stayed there a couple hours maybe, and came back, and we'd made reservations from Paul Messina, a recommendation he made for a very nice restaurant in Isla Mirada called Ziggy's. Ziggy and Mad Dogs. Ziggy and Mad Dogs. There was a whole big story behind the name. I didn't read the back of the menu, but dinner was delicious. Thanks, Paul, for that recommendation, by the way. Dinner was amazing. It was amazing. So yeah, that was an early dinner, so we didn't stay long in Key West because we had that dinner reservation we'd made days before. Vacation. Oh, May, not March. Oh, so May 15th to the 30th, average last frost. All right, well, you just ruined my whole thing, Keith. Thanks a lot, buddy. Jim Carker, what's going on? George Parson, good morning. Randy Gushlaw, Gators on almost every golf course. So our captain yesterday told us some really fascinating facts about alligators. And the first fact that I found was pretty interesting. He goes, and we ended up seeing one that he said was enormous for out there. It was well over 10 feet. And this thing was sunning himself up underneath a mangrove. He said that alligator got a brain the size of the tip of your thumb. He goes, because I asked him, I go, well, at first I thought when he pulled right up to it, I go, these things must get, there's airboats. There was 5 airboats running trips out of there while we were waiting to get on ours. These alligators must just be conditioned to seeing human beings, what I thought. And what I said to him, and he goes, yeah, he goes, that's not really the case. He goes, they're just not, and he looked at me and he goes, very bright. He goes, and it's not that. He goes, they say the alligator, it's very prehistoric. Its brain is the size of a pea. It can control its own heartbeat, especially when it's cold out. Now, for them, cold is relative to us. But in the wintertime, when everything cools down there, he goes, they can slow their breathing and their heart rate down to 1 beat per minute. He goes, they can hold their breath longer than any mammal on the planet. And he said they can easily stay submerged and just sit on the bottom motionless for 24 plus hours. I thought all that was pretty cool. So I said to him, I go, well, I mean, we're so close to this alligator. They must be conditioned. He goes, no. He goes, I don't. He goes, they don't think that they remember much of anything. He goes, they're not aggressive, unless really provoked. And he said the predominant food they eat there in the Everglades is these giant snails. He didn't have one or anything. We didn't see one. But he goes, they look like about the size of a small, like a racquetball, maybe a little bigger. And as we're sitting there watching that first big one we saw, he's got one eye looking at us, and there's 3 of us in a 20-foot, airboat that's sitting like this, and he's like this, and I mean he's 3 feet away from us, and he goes, and he kind of lurches, not really fast, and he goes, oh, and I think Courtney got it on video. He completely lays on his side and digs his snout down into the mud, and he goes, oh my God, he's looking, he's eating, he's feeding, he's looking for whatever. And I'm like, that was pretty awesome. Like that hour we spent in the Everglades yesterday was pretty awesome. It's certainly a high-ranking part of our trip. Pike Master, 4 walleyes under 7 inches Thursday on the east end. Doing west end for something a little bigger Tuesday. Yeah, I don't know about a ton bigger, but all three of my fish this morning were keepers. If that helps any. Ned Sellers, thanks, buddy. Nice to be home. Jim Carker, Isla Morada is awesome. We went to Morado Bay for lunch, outdoor facility in the sand. Yeah, multiple meals we had, Courtney and I had over vacation were in, tiki bar style huts outside on a dock or in a marina or something. And it's nice. Listen, the fact that it's open air, most everything. I know they have storms but most everything is open air, and it's open year round, and it's busy year round. Everybody we talk to, I'm like, well, is what's the busy season? And now, if you're a fisherman, well, you can fish year round. The tarpon are about on the end of their time because they migrate. They're passing through. Where they're headed, I don't know, but usually those kind of fish, like the stripers, they head north and then turn around and head south. I didn't get into the back country, into the flats, in the mangroves. There was so much of it down there to fish. Next time I go down, Danny may have a skiff next year, or I'll hire somebody with a skiff, and I really would like to go in, maybe fly fish, maybe not, but I would love to go into the flats and see that, or fish around those mangroves, and they have everything down there. They have bonefish, they have snook, they have tarpon, they have permit. I've never caught a snook or a bonefish. They have redfish in some areas. Just a lot. Just a real lot of stuff. So, William Gilbert, glad you caught a tarpon. They're the reason I moved to Tampa. Jim Carker, Tarpon Fest. I'm going to tell you, though, and I said this the other day, I really wanted to hook one for you guys live on camera, but both days, by the time I turned the camera on, and the first day I had already fought two, one all the way and broke them off at the boat, and one halfway. Excuse me. And the second day I turned it on after I'd landed my one, and I fought that fish for solid 45 minutes. My arm still hurts, honestly. Right above your elbow, where the bottom of your bicep right there, from having it just locked like this the whole time you're holding onto it, to that rod, still sore. Still sore. It's been, that was Thursday, Friday. So it's been 3 days. But that, I don't know how many of those you'd want to, like, I thought to myself this morning as I was out here, I'm like, I would like to focus on, say, one species or one kind of fishing each year when I'm down there, and I'm already making plans to try and stay down there for an extended period of time next year. Weeks, months, I'm not sure. But my thought would be, when you were learning it and that learning curve, you'd want to focus on one thing until you got it figured out and you had confidence in it. That would be great channel content, take a freshwater guy and put him in saltwater for his first time, with your own boat and living there and doing it every day. That would be awesome, because there's, listen, out here, if the walleyes aren't biting, you can go look for perch, if you wanted. But what, like all those years on the charter boat, we were trolling for trout and salmon. On the days where the trout and salmon didn't want to bite all that well, like there was no backup. There was no, oh, well, let's run over here and we can catch this all we want, or whatever. Like you have that in the ocean. Danny was telling me that multiple times. He's like, he goes, if I was doing a charter, because we only had 3 bites in 2 days, and we were in the spot, and we were about average with everybody, but we only had 3 bites in 2 days. This is what it is. If I was a normal client, my guess is halfway through either of those days, he would have said, hey, we can run out here 4 or 5 miles to the reef and you can catch all the fish off the bottom you wanted to. And that sounds great, and I would have loved to have done that too. But our goal was tarpon, and we went and we knocked it out, but there are so many other things that you could do. And saltwater provides that luxury. It really does. Way more than freshwater. Cleo, I can't see what it says. 80 Cleo. Enjoyed meeting you at Walleye Fest. I apologize for accusing your wife of signing my book in hot pink ink. I remember that. It was at the end before I was getting, and he comes over and he goes, I got my book. I got my signed book. He goes, your wife has beautiful handwriting. I'm like, wow. He goes, my wife doesn't sign my books. I do. He goes, that's your handwriting? And I go, yeah. And he goes, well, it was pink. I'm like, well, yeah, that wasn't on purpose. I have a whole cup of fine line Sharpie markers that I sign books with so they don't fade and blur and all that stuff. And I just happened to grab one and it was some sort of hot pink. I don't know. It's like a Crayola big box. It's got like 100 colors in there. That's funny though. I remember that. Jim Hagler, what's going on? Scott the God, I am in. What are you in for, buddy? What'd you do? Did you get arrested again? Oh, all right, everybody. I think that'll do it for me for today. I gotta go get everything. Gotta move back into our real life. And get ready to get back at it here. Not much to report out here this morning. Like I say, I did catch a few fish. There's no breeze at all, so you're just kind of sitting around. Good day to be trolling, I can tell you that much. Good day to be trolling, and I bet the trolling bite's pretty hot right now. I don't know what the water temp is. I've been gone. My guess is it's somewhere in the 60s, low 60s. If it's made it that far by now, it should have. All right. Thanks, everybody, for showing up. Thanks for tuning in. We'll get back on our regularly appointed schedule now that I'm back, and we'll get after it. Figure out the boat, get off the jet ski, get all that fun stuff. All right. I'll talk to you guys and girls tomorrow. Have a great Monday. Keep your tip up.